Hello,
Hello.
all.
Good evening. I'm very jealous because I'm stuck here in Jersey. I do love Jersey. I'm a Jersey girl. I love it. But where are you, Kathy?
I'm in Illinois.
I know, but it doesn't look like it.
Oh, this, well,
Yes.
I'm visiting the Doyles.
Okay.
They invited me over for Fall Fest, and so I'm just kind of hanging out with them.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
they're out on a case, so it's so beautiful here. I just thought I'd sit in the park across the street and enjoy life.
And hang out. Now, isn't this ironic? I don't know what happened. I just shared this and it's coming up that way. What does that mean? It doesn't show up.
I'm seeing it.
I'm not on my end. It's
Rona's comment.
yeah, but yeah, but on my end it's like clear in the background and I can hardly see it. I wonder what's going on. That's weird. Something's going on with StreamYard. So I put it back. All right. I put your comment up, Rona, and it says just finished my third viewing of the fourth season yesterday. I am there with you, girl. I am there.
I've lost count of how many times. Why are you
I
doing
know.
3D, Roxanne, tonight?
I'm 3D.
You're doing 3D.
Oh, I won't.
Okay. I can't tell you how many times I've watched season 4 and 5
Over
and
and over,
certain
right?
episodes over and over. Yeah, it never gets old. And I'm almost glad that I discovered it after its prime because it would have driven me right up the wall to have to wait week to week to see what was going to happen in the next episode, much less spending 6 seasons. Are Jake and Leslie going to get together? Are they? Are they not? They're on, they're off, they're on, they're off. I would have been crazy. So
I love all of the seasons, I do. And there's stuff that I absolutely love in every season. But I don't know what it is about 4 that I just love, 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 love. I just love 4.
I suspect it's because that was the longest period of time they were together without fate intervening,
Okay.
right
Okay.
until the very last episode where we know what happened with Jake there. But I think that's why. And I think it became clear for each of them and to anyone who was paying attention that, they were the end game. I don't think Jake knew how much he cared for her until he
Yeah.
thought she was missing. And
Mhm.
Leslie, who is Miss by the Book, who had been Miss by the Book constable for 3 years, broke her undercover to get him over there. It boggled my mind.
I know Christina was saying, see, on my end, I cannot see it. It doesn't have like the band. It's clear. And I don't know if what changed. It's so odd. But anyway, it says yes, 4 and the last one are my favorite, is what
I
Christina
know
was saying.
six was kicking butt too.
Yeah, it was. It was. So I was looking at episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not quite sure what part of the beginning you were paying attention to. But one of the things that I loved right away in the first few episodes was they're just coming off of Des almost dying,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there, did you lose the kid? That's what Mal would say. Where's the kid? Everybody was, even Jake, they were all so protective of Des and nothing bad happening to him. And it was cute. I loved how that
Well,
was
it ended with Des flatlining at the end of season 3. So
I
they had
know.
reason to be worried about that. And I believe I'm right on this that Mark had really hurt himself. And that's why they had him on the crutches. Have you heard that, or was that your understanding?
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm not sure if I had heard that, but that would make sense to me. But
Yeah.
I just loved how he was so, by season 4, he is a Doyle. Even though they've referred to him before as a Doyle, he is in. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? He's
And
their family, and
yep.
that's that. Um, so the first episode you really enjoyed. I remember you telling me that because the actor that was the guest actor, he's
Angus
Irish.
McFadden, I love and adore him. He is wonderful. He is
Yes.
wonderful. And he's subtle. I mean, he just really he seemed like he could be Mal's brother-in-law.
True. He fit right in. And I loved how they mirrored their relationships, right?
Mm-hmm. With
Um,
the fathers and sons.
and the cousin acted wild with women like Jake was at first. Do you remember? I mean, like he was always
I
love
gotta tell you, I also liked it because it offered this really nice glimpse into the background for Mal and
yes.
for Jake with his mother. Now we've seen his mother because he had the nightmare slash dream about her.
Right, right, right.
And so um and Mal had a line that I think is my favorite Mal line in the whole doggone series, where he was being so mean to his uncle and to Jake's uncle. And Jake finally said to him, "Oh, come on, Dad, you can't be like that. What would Mom say if she was alive?" And Mal goes, "She'd probably want me to break up with Rose." And then I thought I would die with that one because he's absolutely right. That would have made a great little, oh,
Yes.
she's really been, playing dead because she was being chased by. I would have loved to have seen that storyline, Emily Doyle and Rose facing off. But I
I know.
think that was just absolutely terrific. And the underlying stuff, like you notice Rose wasn't there. It's like they have these little boundaries and everybody knows their place.
Yeah.
And Rose doesn't get upset. And Mal goes back to his office and he pulls out a picture of himself and his late wife and just looks at it and puts it away, which I think we've talked about this before. That is actually Sean McGinley and his real life wife. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
So I love it because the characters, Rose and Mal, both of them are self-confident. They
Mhm.
know who they are,
Mhm.
and they're very self-confident with their relationship. That's why I love when her ex-husband's there and they're cooking up a steak for the woman who had captured them, right? And he's like, nod one. This was in last season. Nod one if you want it rare, nod two, that kind of thing. And they're arguing in the background. He goes, don't worry, they're really a beautiful couple. They are a really good
Yeah.
couple. They're very secure in they don't hold grudges and get mad for it's just a wonderful couple to see. So I love
If anyone is listening out there who's actually on the Republic of Doyle staff, or have any influence or any interest, I know you're out there. We would love to not just see a movie, but have a couple of flashbacks to how Rose and Mal got together. I would dearly love to see how those two got. We've heard Rose say, I had a rotten childhood. I grew up with the bad influences. My life was miserable until I met Mal. And it's like, okay, how did that happen? And because it must have been something. I don't think it would have been easy.
Did he arrest her? Did he arrest her?
I know. Was he a cop at the time?
Yeah, or was he retired by then?
Yeah, and how old were they? Was Jake still a teen? What gives? I want to know more. There just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough for me in those 6 seasons. I need more.
And I also like that, there's that beautiful Irish music that they always play in between and when the new episodes come on. And I love how they gave us the Irish story about his mother. Like they explained that. And he's like, at one point someone says, I thought you were born here. And he's like, my mother came from Ireland when she was
that was
12,
good.
right? Yeah, yes. And they explain like our a little history. We get some glimpse into it. And it's just like another layer of their writing, which I love, which
one of the things they do best is casting.
Yes.
They cast the doggone perfect actors from the most minor role.
Yes.
Even if it's just an extra who doesn't have anything to say, to the bit parts, to the featured, actors. The fellow who played his cousin, I thought was so great. He had such a personality and he looked like he could have been
Jake's cousin, right?
And then the girl who worked in I don't know if it was a strip club or exotic dancing.
Yes, exotic
dancing. She was hysterical. And she's got on the little, you think she's a bimbo. And then she gets around the Doyles and she's giving all this history. She goes, I'm majoring in art history in college. I'm not just, I'm not just a little bimbo. And it's like, man.
Yes. I know.
And someone like her was totally into, what was his name? The cousin.
I forgot his name.
I can't think of his name, but she was totally into him. And
just let us know out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that those two would be a couple. You wouldn't pick them out as a couple.
But it works. They always make strong women. They always have women portrayed as
and they're not stupid.
Nope.
They're
strong,
never stupid.
Wired. Yep. So Jan, I have you highlighted. She says, yes, it was great to see Jake and Leslie together. It was great that Leslie showed her love for Jake. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that we haven't touched on yet is I love Tinny saying that Des is so smart and so dumb. Remember when she said that? Like, I know, I love
Yeah.
that. And Jan's saying that age makes you secure and not jealous of one another, which is nice.
Up to a point, because was this the season where no, when did Martin show up? Was that season 3?
No, Martin showed up right away. And I think it's season 1.
Well, when Mel found out she was married, he was not a happy camper.
No, he wasn't.
He showed his horns a little bit in that one.
He made the mistake of hiring or asking his good friend who was a little bit on the shady side, who was a cop, right? But he wasn't to go.
Ended up later on, and
Yes,
they followed that thread. But
yes.
they turned that, what do they call it? They turned that lemon into lemonade. Do you remember that scene later on? So you had somebody watch me, huh? How did it feel watching me from afar? I'm like, dang, Rose, okay.
I love it. Mm-hmm. I think that's so great. Oh gosh. Lois is saying, hi, Lois, you're here. I often wondered if Mel had met her through the police.
Yeah. I know. She definitely had a record.
Yes.
And yeah, because she spent time in prison too.
No, I thought she avoided prison time though.
No, I think she spent some time inside. Yeah, because she's told people about it. Like, I know what you're going through. And
all right.
And remember when Mal was reading the records on Martin, he said, you're not going to, his former partner said, you're not going to like this part. And then they turned it over and you could see a mugshot and all that.
Yes, yes. So one of the things that I really liked in episode 2, which is called Blood Work, and that's when there's that escaped convict there. So I think that they had to go to the hospital. This is where Jake sees Leslie and realizes she's probably undercover because she looked different and he knew something was going on. But I loved the part where they're trying to keep track of Des and make sure he's okay. And I was saying that before, like he's a Doyle, and he cuffs himself to the escaped convict and off they go.
Yeah.
This is how we get into that world of where Leslie is and Taylor Gossard. We get to meet him and he's a creep, isn't he?
He's a great actor though. He is something else. I can't imagine how much time it took for each of his appearances. Someone had to take pictures of each part of his body so they could recreate those tattoos.
Oh, wait a minute. I really think he's tattooed up. I don't know if they're all of them.
All of those?
No, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think he's got the teardrop.
No, but he is quite tattooed up, though. I'm pretty sure of it. He's like a poet or something. He really is like.
He's different. I know that the actor is different.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary.
Pardon me?
I said hi to Mary. She just joined.
Oh, hi, Mary. I wanted to add this. I was showing you earlier. And not that one. We're going to go back a little. Close your eyes. Okay. This is in that episode where he goes into the bar he realizes that really was her that he saw at the hospital. And I don't know, because it's kind of dark. I just screenshot it off of the screen. And in the background, I don't know if you could see, is Leslie she gives him such a smooch and pushes him up against the wall and kisses him and tells him what she's doing. And then she acts like she's breaking up with him and telling them to leave. And I'm thinking I know this is crazy, but I zero in and I watch. I'm like, why are those two so electric? They're like so electric. And I understand they have other partners. I get that. But the chemistry is crazy between the two of them.
Off the chart. One of their biggest supporters, I don't know if supporters may be too strong a word, but one of the folks who gets them and understands that, they're meant for each other is Hood. And that's how Jake knew where to find her. Remember, Hood took that file and said, I can't tell you anything, but if you happen to read this file on my desk, that's how he knew just where she was. And the little moments, like right before this, where she kissed him and she pushed him against the wall, there was just a little throwaway gesture where she rubs remember he had gotten beat up and he had a bruise there and she's like rubbing his face like out of concern. It was very good.
I know. And Chris is saying, I'm sorry, Kathy.
No, finish it up.
Chris is saying over here, I highlighted Jake and Leslie really got into it while she was undercover. They just couldn't leave each other alone. And I loved it. Me too. It was.
Chris, I'm gonna differ with you a little bit. She was the one who couldn't leave him alone because she actually she actually texted him for a booty call.
I know.
And she was undercover. And then the next day when he comes to, or the next episode where he comes to ask her for some help on a case, and she's like, Jake, you can't be here. It's like, why? Because you're done with him for now? Come on.
I know. Well, she's a piece of work. She really is, but I love her character because she too is, layered and complex. Christina Loman is saying she liked it too. She loves all of that.
And it's funny to look back or think back on the very first episode in season 1 when they first met, because Leslie looked down her nose at him. Oh my goodness. She was so snobby. And he said, can you just let me talk to this witness? I don't need more than 3 minutes. And she's like, I don't doubt that at all. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to eat those words, honey.
I know. She was loving the 3 minutes plus. Now, this scene is another scene that I would love to talk to the directors and the writers and Alan and everybody that was involved, because this is from episode 2 again, where what's his name is Gossard. He puts the bucket of water, his pants are rolled up, and he's sort of electrocuting him, and blood is coming from his mouth, and he's like, oh, give it to me again. Like, he looks like he's crazy because that's what he wants to portray himself as, because he's not going to give up any information on Des and the other guy. But let's just look at that little screenshot. Alan Hoko, I think, was really working out there.
Yep.
Very much physically fit.
He was committed to the character for sure.
He was. And I wanted to know, this is when she sees him and he has that bruise that she's touching his cheek and making sure he's okay. I would like to know how long that took to film, how many takes were, like, what happened. I want to know all the details because it was pretty intense.
I bet there were a lot of bloopers.
I know. Janice saying, yes, muscles on muscles.
Yep.
And Lois confirmed what I had thought about the actor.
Yeah.
He really is tattooed up. Yeah, I had looked him up. So that I love those episodes. I liked how in episode 2 we started to get introduced to new characters that eventually we kept seeing again and again. I mean, we see Gossard all the way to the end. He's such a bad guy. He even does issues, has issues in jail with Jake. And
he kind of got humanized when he had his claustrophobia.
Well, for a hot second. Not much.
Please let me out. Please, Jake, please.
Oh my God. All right. So then we have what? Identity crisis. So the storyline for Identity Crisis has to do with the bounty hunter. And she falls in love with her handler, I guess, right? The marshal.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people come out of the woodwork to kill them. And Des is a disaster. He sets himself on fire. And
then runs around giving it oxygen
like an idiot. And they're trying so hard to, like, still protect him, but they can't protect him from himself. He's like such a mess.
He's like a savant.
He's a what?
Like a savant. He's brilliant in some ways, but absolutely no common sense.
Yes. And again, we get more of little bits of Jake and Leslie along the way. And I love how that storyline we know is going to build until when we get to episode 5, where they can't find her. And they go and ask Jake for help because they know that, he's not a cop. He knows what's going on and he could go in to help her.
Hood knew they had been seeing each other. He's like, there's no way that you two haven't gotten together. And Jake just kind of was like, when was the last time Hood said, when was the last time you saw Leslie? And he goes, I haven't seen Leslie. He said, oh, don't shine me on. You're not going to get her in trouble. Just tell me the truth. Yeah. So I think Hood was just kind of in on it all from the very beginning.
He was
a secret shipper.
Yes. That was okay. I was glad. I liked it, even though he didn't always like Jake. Like, yeah, they had their little quirks. But I I know there's an episode before that, and that's the one with the kidnapping with the little girl. But before we get into that, I like the part. I wanted to show Chris is saying the kitchen sink was right behind Des. He could have put out the fire. Instead, he panics and runs around like a fool. You know.
Yep.
All right. So the episode with the kidnapping, what I thought was really cool is how they thought about how they could orchestrate them, because it was a story within a story within a story. There was like so many stories going on with this, but how they could orchestrate the losing of the briefcase with the money in it. Like who sat down and thought all of those layers up? So if you remember, and this is also one that does a little bit of the flashbacking in it too. It starts at one point and then comes back, where Jake's outside. He's, trying to figure out who's going to be coming what way. He's on the phone, and then the guy comes, and then the other one gets out of the lane. He gets hit by a car and killed. It sails through the air, and it winds up in the back seat of some random man's fancy car. I don't even remember what the type of car is. And then there they are trying to go and get that back. And I just thought it was clever. Who wrote that one? Do we know? We have to reach out to them. I would love to pick their brains and hear what they had to say. And I would love to know what the writer's room looks like for them, especially like when we have people on from When Calls the Heart. There's several of them working together, where there's several of them working together, which I find as a writer myself really amazing that it comes together, because everybody has a different voice and a style. How do you put that together where it all blends? And the writers for this show did that.
Well, it's writers, or obviously it's the writers, but I think the actors too, that just pull it together and sell it.
But see, I don't always feel like that happens in other shows. I feel like I could tell when one writer is writing an episode over another, but I didn't feel that way with this one. I didn't. Did you? Did you feel a difference? There was a slight difference in the very first episodes, like episode 1 and 2 of season 1, because I think
the characters were yes, I did notice that, because the characters hadn't evolved into what they were going to be.
But the writing after that was very consistent. And I think most shows go through growing pains like that. When the first few episodes air, I feel like maybe there's a conversation between everybody, maybe even the way the public is responding, or even maybe the network. And you could see where there's a little bit of a change, but not much. And I don't know. I didn't know who from what season to the next was writing. Whatever it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved it. Yeah. Yeah. Christina's saying a lot of cool action going on there. Yes, Kathy, I have said that before about Des being, what did you say? He was an idiot savant. Is that what you said?
I didn't say idiot. I said he was a savant.
Oh, I think someone else had written the word idiot savant, which I know is a term that we wouldn't use today, but it is a term. But yeah. No, I saw it somewhere. And I love Jan saying yes, muscles, up on muscles. And let's see. I also added in this one. This scene, Kathy, you have to tell your story. This scene cracks me up. This is when they have to hide in the trunk so they don't get exposed. By the way,
no, he put them in. They were already exposed, because dimwit Monica.
Yes.
Let the guy take her cell phone. So they put them in the trunk.
Now, I love when they find out who the middleman is, or it's like his I forget what the big guy calls him, the person who's supplying all of the drugs, what he calls his middle guy. He has a name for him. Not like
lieutenant. He's like
his
my lieutenant.
And he said he was his best that he ever had. He was a biker. And to the point where he could go to jail, he's like, just take me away from these people. I want to go. I loved it. He wanted to get away from them. It was hilarious. Now, I love when they get in the trunk together. But by the way, Monica is a new character that they introduced in the very beginning. Remember, she says, Leslie's not here.
The so-called replacement
Yeah,
for Leslie.
he's gone. And then they have to get in the trunk together, and he's trying to find the rifle underneath, and she's all mad. But what's the interview that you saw and it refers to get in the trunk? Tell us that.
There was an interview with Alan Doyle, who is Wolf, and Russell Crowe, and Alan Hocko. And they were promoting the episode where Russell Crowe made an appearance, and he and Alan, I guess, had known each other. Alan Doyle had known each other from before, and they were talking. Russell Crowe was saying Alan Hocko was being so careful about putting him in that trunk. You remember there was a scene where he had to push the character in the trunk, and he was being very ginger about it and all that. And the guys just started talking about everybody ends up on in the trunk on this show, and Alan Doyle, Wolf, said, yeah, they ought to change the slogan. Welcome to Newfoundland, get in the trunk. And I thought that was so funny because it's true for that show, at least.
I know. Here they are in the trunk, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. If anyone's wondering what that little icon on the lower bottom, it's for the broadcasting symbol. That's what that is. That little looks like a little orb. It's not an orb. I know they're like hilarious. Love that scene, that kind of thing. Jan says, I've always thought that the writers got together and started looking at ideas and they just kept bouncing off one another. Maybe, but they have different voices. And I love how, even though they have different voices when they write, because the actors it's the same actors, and then the directors that hold it all together, like you were saying, Kathy, it works.
Yeah.
Jan, you're not the only one. I really don't like Monica at all. From the beginning, I felt she was sneaky. We know she was trying to be their friend, but not. Right?
Right.
She gets her due in the end.
She does.
But you know that we don't like her means that she's just
doing a heck of a job with
as an actress. Yeah. And we got to have her on.
And it was funny how I think Jake sensed it. I mean, he had a couple of funny little comments. But remember, there was a scene where she comes into the bar, and he said, "Oh, you looking for Jake?" "Yeah, I owe him a drink. He gave me a couple of good collars, and he's gone. I'll tell him you came by." And she's like, she was waiting for something, and nothing else came. She said, "Okay, bye," and she walks away. And after that 15-second interaction, Rose comes up and said, "Who was that?" And Mal goes, "Trouble." He knew immediately.
Yes, I loved it. Loved it. Mal was always calm, and very rarely you see him get upset or mad. But and when he did, it was really good. And he was like, with his one-liners and the things that they made him say, I just love how consistent they were. I know I say this every time, but I just love it. Jan said, oh, that's Jan's comment. Jan down here says, I really don't like Monica, which we already talked about. I had highlighted and I was trying to figure out
a fun fact. And I just read this recently, and I can't remember where. Or did you tell me? I don't remember. But there's a point, is it season 4, where Mal and Rose go off on a honeymoon, where they just leave and you don't see them for an episode or so. But anyway, so they wrote the characters that they're going off. And Alan Hocko, in an interview, said he received a text from Sean McGinley, the character who played Mal, and it said, "Thanks a lot for the opportunity, Alan. It's been a great run. I really appreciate it." And Alan was like, "What?" So Sean thought they were being written off completely. And he's like, "Man, no, you think I'd just write you up and not even tell you? No way." And he said, "Does Linda feel the same way?" Linda Boyd, who plays Rose.
Right.
Yeah, she thinks we're gone. So he had to call both of them and reassure them that they were not being written off the series, which I thought was really cute.
Oh, that's cute. I didn't see that. I did see part of that in an interview, I think, but it wasn't me who said that to you.
Yeah.
Christine is saying Mal is psychic. Mal is psychic. Well, I wonder. Chris is saying that. I wonder why she thinks that he's psychic.
What makes you say that?
Yeah. I think that might have been in season 3, Jan was saying.
Yeah, it could have been
being written off. Okay.
Yeah.
This one here that I lit up real fast is another one of my ultimate favorites. It's from my ultimate favorite episode, which is episode 5, and it's called The Heroine, but like it's the heroine, and then the heroine, the girl. I love
E,
that title.
heroin with an E, the good
Yes,
heroin.
with the drug, but it also is referring to she's, the
No, heroin, the drug doesn't have an E at the end.
I know, but that's what they're pushing is heroin. That's what the ultimate goal wound up being. So that's why I'm saying I loved how they did that for both, for the drug and for her. But when she comes in and she says to him, "I brought you something," and she hands him scotch, and he's like, "I thought you'd come back. What'd you think we would do when we saw each other?" And then they have their big love scene here. But I love it because she always jumps on him and wraps her legs around him. He's taking her to the table, and I love it when she takes off his shirt, he takes off his shirt, and then he kicks his shoes. He kicks off one shoe, he kicks off the other, and I'm like, is that improv? How many times did they have to do this scene? I want to know. I want the details.
I loved Badass Leslie too. When they were in the height of the action, where Taylor ran one way and Kavanaugh was down on the ground, and I don't know if he threw the rifle to her, but she whirls around. That move in the platform shoes, and she cocks the gun, and she's like, I'm like, okay, Leslie is it.
And he looks at her like, oh, that was hot, right? He looks at her. But the cool thing is that the actress, she said that she actually trained with the real police academy. She really trained, which
I believe it.
Cool. Yeah. And I love how she did that. Yeah. Let's see. Chris is explaining. She says he predicts things and he can read people, good and bad. And that's true. You're right. I get what you're saying. And Lois says she loves when he kicks his shoes off. Yeah, don't we all? We all love that. I love that he did that. So
Mel was one example of that, Chris, was when he was, I don't remember what season it is, but he was with Jake, and Jake has to stop at the hospital and say something to Nikki. I don't remember what it was, but they get into it, start making out, and before they can go too far, Mel walked in like, "Where are you?" He's looking for Jake, and they just kind of stop, and Nikki is all flustered, and it was very obvious that he walked in and stopped something. So she walks out, and he said, "Jake, you got to quit messing with her. Stop stringing her along. She's I think she was married at this point." She said she's married now. And he said it'd be different if she was the one, but we both know she's not. So he knew from the beginning that it was Leslie, which I love about Mel. And he was always kind to Leslie. And I think it happens in episode 4. There have been several scenes where she comes just either she was looking for Jake and he's not around and she ends up talking to Mel, or she seeks out Mel. And he has always been like a father to her.
Yes. And I love how we get more into the relationship as the season goes on. Like I said, it is my favorite. And I don't know. I get sad because not all shows, and there are shows I love, but not all shows have the wonderful writing like this show does. I really, 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 yeah.
And I think we saw the last of her being jealous in the fourth season. After that, she was kind of teasing, like, I heard you've been giving that other cop good collars. I mean, she was just being kind of flirty with that.
Yeah. I love that. Lois is saying Nikki had hired Jake. Yes, she did. She had hired him.
To find out what David was up to.
And he said no to her. You're going down the wrong slippery slope here, he was saying, but he did anyway because he cared about her.
Right.
Jan is saying Mal has also told the bad guys not to mess with the Doyles,
and that includes Leslie Bennett.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Excellent. And I love that. I don't know. I think that this was almost like, well, I don't think I know. These are the minds of some genius people.
Genius person, because he had the original vision and he brought together.
And he's extremely intelligent.
Somebody else says, I only surround myself with the best people. Well, yeah. But Alan Halko does.
Yes.
He really does. From the casting, from each actor, to the writers, to the directors, to the music. You know,
Yes.
it's just the directing, it's just all seamless.
And if you pay attention to what's happening and going on, and who is who and who is what, you'll see that they also are in many other shows, like we've said, together. They show up again.
It's
And they
like a little
will.
repertory company, and they just end
It
up in
is.
different combinations. And what makes it to me even more unique is almost without exception, some I don't know about, but the major characters, they are totally opposite. Their real personas are totally opposite of the characters they play, almost completely opposite.
Which makes it so much fun for them, I think. I
Yeah.
really think it makes it a lot of fun for them. So, Tinny, I have a trivia question, and I can send out a little prize if you like. And I do have a new kind of prize to give out. So, like, Rona already won once and Jan won once before. So if by some chance they win again, I have something different. But we didn't really talk much about this. But this is Tinny. She knows who her father is, and she's exploring that. And little by little, other people are finding out who her father is, like Walter. I love Walter. Do you love Walter? I love Walter.
Walter is just one of my favorite characters.
We need to have Walter on, and the stuff he does is hilarious, and the things he says. So when he finds out that that's who Tinny's dad is, right? He's like, "Oh, of course he is." You know what I mean? He's like,
Yep.
"Yeah, of course." You know, he gets it.
My favorite was Walter and the baby.
It's so good. So, my question is, has been seeing her dad, which is what's his name?
Kevin
Right now?
Tucker.
Crocker, right? Kevin. And she's been visiting her father, and she at first is saying to everyone it's because of what, it's part of her training because she's in the academy now. But there comes a point where she goes to visit him, and suddenly he says no, he does not want to see her.
Mm-hmm.
She figures out right away why.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if anyone paid attention and knows why or how that stopped. I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes to the
Don't say
security
anything. Not you. It's a trivia question.
I know. I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay. Let's see. I want to see whoever says it first.
I think that was an easy one.
Pardon me?
I think that was an easy one.
Okay, but I want to make sure people were paying attention. Let's see. Jan is saying, so what do you think, since they all live near one another, do they just go to the Duke and decide over some brews about the storyline? I think that's true. They used to go we picked Thursday night. They used to go every Thursday night and eat and drink there. And by the way, the gentlemen who own the Duke are coming on, but I don't know what happened. They got so busy. We were hoping it was last Thursday, right? And since they couldn't, I took a break because I had a crazy week. St. John is not a big city. Yes, we know, Lois. And when we had on our lovely guest and he was chatting about it, Steve, right? He was saying that it's not big. They all help each other out, and they've all known each other for a very long time. And everybody has about 7 jobs, which I love. Walter's another one of the goofs. You are right, Jan. And Walter.
And he's a family man. I don't picture. I mean, Sean Panning is a family man.
Yeah.
I don't picture Walter as a family man. They wanted Walter to come on to do some scene, and he couldn't do it. He's like, I'm on vacation with my kids. I can't, man. So they had to work around it and bring him back at a different time.
I love it.
We have a winner, Janice.
We do. Okay, hold on. Walter is another one of the goofs. Mary's saying Walter is such a hot mess, but so lovable. He's always with the hookers. I know I said this before, but it's great. It's so great how they do that. Jan saying,
can you picture him and Jake growing up together? Just the stuff they got into.
Yes.
Who was the bully that? That was Clyde Crowley, who used to mess with him. Yes. He stripped me down to my underwear, and Jake was like, "Man, you weren't wearing any underwear. Come on."
Says that. He just says it as he's getting thrown out the window. Like they just, I love it. Jan, I'm hopping all around. Sorry. Jan says the mom goes to jail and tells Kevin not to see Tinny. Yeah, you win, Jan. I got something different for you. You are correct. Rona says Tinny sees her mom's name. Oh, you're right behind her, Rona. Almost, but Jan beat you by, I don't know, a nanosecond because they both say 8:39, but Jan came first. And Lois says, and most of them went to school together. Yes, they tell us they shared that in some of their interviews. Okay, so Jan, I got something coming your way. All right, this has been fun. You have anything you want to add, Miss Kathy?
No, I think I'll have to just go back and watch the rest of season 4 again, just so I'll be on top of my game for next week.
Okay.
I hate it, but the stuff I do for you, you know?
I know. All right, friends. Do any of you have a question or a request? We're taking questions and requests. Something you'd like to see or know or any of that good stuff? Let us know. All right, it's been fun. Could you imagine their teachers and the principal?
They were all probably stellar students, never got in any trouble at all.
Maybe we should look them up and have them on and ask.
Oh my. I'm afraid to ask.
That would take some investigative work on my part, but I bet you I could do it.
Oh, of course. I don't have a doubt in my mind.
I could do it. All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye. See you next week.
Yes.